Hi everybody. Hi everybody, this is Moshe Fried, and I'd like to welcome you all to the very first live that I'm doing in the group Teachers Sharing Ideas and Resources for the Classroom. This is a group that I've been privileged to be a part of for the last month or two, and I've been posting questions every weekday morning to get feedback from teachers on the issues that they deal with, and use this group to support each other and to discuss the challenges that we face in the classroom and in the field. So what I'd like to do today is follow up on the question that I posted last night. The question that I posted last night or early this morning was, what is the most difficult balancing act for a teacher in the classroom? And we got great feedback from the teachers, and even some comments, even some responses to the comments. So just to discuss some of the things and to elaborate, take it a little bit deeper. The goal of this live is to take it a little bit deeper, a little bit to the next level, and again, to provide more value for teachers. It is a challenging profession, it's a challenging environment. So let's discuss some of the things. You can obviously leave comments, questions, if there's anything that you want to hear about, that you want to talk about. Let's talk about that. You'll find me in the group. So the number one response that was listed, that actually got 14 comments on it, was the trying to teach with disruptive students. The greatest challenge to a teacher, perhaps, again, you can let me know your opinion, is to teach with disruptive students in the classroom. You come in, you have your agenda, you're all completely prepared. You spend so much time preparing an amazing lesson, and then there's one or two kids that, for good reason, for no good reason, it's hard to know, but for whatever reason is being disruptive and completely takes your attention away from what you're trying to do. It reminds me of this TED Talk that I had seen years ago. There was this fellow named Apollo Robbins who was giving this TED presentation, and he was not a teacher, he was not a psychologist, he was a pickpocketer. And I don't know if you've ever seen a pickpocketer before, but this guy was amazing. He was up there on stage, and he basically explained how he does it. And he said the way he does it is very simple. Your mind can focus on one thing at a time. So all he needs to do is grab your attention, draw it somewhere else, and he can literally put his hand in your pocket and take out whatever you got there. And he called somebody up from the audience onto the stage. It was the most amazing thing. You could check it out, on the TED website. He called somebody up from the audience, and he proceeded to literally take this guy apart. He emptied his pockets, he took off his watch, and all while this guy himself is laughing. He doesn't even realize what's going on. But this guy was really, really good, and he was able to take the guy's attention from what he wanted to focus on, put it on something else, completely clear the lane for what it is that he wanted to do. And when I saw that, it struck me right away. As teachers, we come in, we have our agenda. And the truth of the matter is that the better prepared we are, which typically we think of that as an advantage for us, the better prepared we are, the more we're focused on the agenda, and the more we are subject to being distracted, because we suddenly get, hear a noise, we lose focus of the agenda, and our minds want to go right back to the agenda. So we're not really giving the kid the focus on, that they need. Now, Mustafa is asking me if I have a YouTube channel. I don't have one yet. I may post this to you. The truth of the matter is, I think I do have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is my Gmail account, mfried.lcsw@gmail.com. That's my Gmail address, and I do have a YouTube account there. I will post this to YouTube, God willing, hopefully today. So you can catch me there then, starting out brand new. I've done one other Facebook Live on another teacher group, but now, I want to give around a little bit to everybody. Everybody should get a little bit of live, so we'll see what happens with that. But definitely you can follow me in the group and get involved in the conversation. We want people to be involved in the conversation. Anyway, getting back to the pickpocketer, Apollo Robbins. So that's what he did. So if you think about that, you're coming into a classroom and you're prepared and you want to give the lesson, and this kid starts disrupting, unless you have it really down pat of how exactly you're going to respond to this child and deal with this, if you're prepared for both of them, then you have a fighting chance. But if you're not prepared for the disruptive kid, it's certainly going to throw you off and set your balance off. And the thing about balancing is that balancing is not about strength. We think that if we're strong, we can overcome certain challenges, and that's definitely true in many, many cases. But balancing is not about strength. It's about positioning, and it's about strategy. And when you watch somebody balance anything, a stick on his finger, her finger, whatever it might be, or a plate, or whatever it might be that you're balancing, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you have to have the right position. And you need to come into the classroom with the right mindset, with the right outlook, and understand that challenging children are in your classroom. Once you get the hang of it, after the first or second week of school, we even know who these kids are. We know who the challenging kids are, and we need to anticipate how and when they're going to challenge us. Now, obviously, we could talk for a very long time, get into the really, really nitty-gritty. If anybody has any questions, you can post it up, and I'm happy to discuss situations that happen in a classroom. Again, in case you didn't get my background, I am a social worker by trade. I spent many years working with teachers, a lot of experience with school-age kids. So we can definitely discuss particular cases if you have that on a YouTube, on a Facebook Live, on a YouTube video. I also have a podcast, the Class Stars Podcast, that's on many popular podcast channels. So I'm trying to get myself out there, make myself available to as many people as possible. So again, getting back, I get distracted too. Dealing with disruptive students, the key is knowing who they are, anticipating their disruption, and knowing that you're going to have to deal with both of those things at once. When you know what to do, you kind of automatically adjust to it. And the example that I often give is when you're listening to music with headphones, and then somebody comes up to you and asks you a question. The natural response of a person is to talk really, really loud, because you are listening to music really loud on your headphones. You don't understand that not everybody else is doing it. Not that you don't understand it, but just in the moment, this is the little bubble that you're living in. So this is how we look at it. However, once you take off the headphones, you automatically adjust. Once you have the awareness of certain things, you'll automatically adjust. If you're aware of what you need to do, it will automatically help you to adjust. And of course, we can discuss tactics and strategies of doing it beyond that. But just to skim the surface, that's the response to that. The next response was, what is the most difficult balancing act for a teacher in the classroom? 80% social worker / 20% / counselor and 20% teacher. I guess Christy Herrera-Lapel feels that she's more of a social worker than a teacher. I can relate to that, being a social worker. I feel like I'm 80% social worker, 20% teacher too, because there is obviously a large component of social work that involves education and helping people just understand themselves. You train as a teacher and you don't realize necessarily, obviously you don't need that much experience to come to this realization, but that when you're teaching kids, you're not teaching the subject necessarily. Some people, when you ask them what do they teach, they'll tell you the subject. I teach math, I teach science. Some people will tell you that they teach students. Some people may be more specific and they'll say I teach second grade or high school or whatever it might be. The subject that you're teaching is the individual, is the human being. And of course, we all know how important that relationship between the teacher and the student is. So we want to make sure that relationship is very, very strong. I always encourage teachers to use the beginning of the year to get to know their kids, get to know their strengths, get to know their weaknesses. So that's something that you can definitely do. It's a balance. You have to learn how to do it. And again, we can delve deeper into it. If you'd like to do that, let's just leave that in the comments and we'll have a deeper dive into it another time. The next response was time management from Ling Waters. The next response was time management and trying to teach everything you need within the allotted time for the subject. Oh boy, there is never enough time in the day. The demands on a teacher are so overwhelming, and that is very, very difficult. Again, it's a delicate balance. We need to learn how to balance. And again, I just look to circus balancers, look to people who balance things in the circus. Look how they do it. They just have an understanding of what's going on and what the environment is. I read recently about a tightrope walker who obviously needs to balance himself on a tightrope, and his name is Nick Wallenda. He's one of the world-class tightrope walkers. He's done, he's from a whole family of stuntmen and fantastic story, and he actually trains in very, very harsh conditions. He tightroped across Niagara Falls and other very, very dangerous environments. And when he trains in hurricanes. He trains with people, spraying him with water from fire truck hoses. He does really, really crazy stuff. And the reason why he does that is because he needs to maintain his emotional balance. Walking on the rope is easy for him. He's been doing it since he's very, very young. But being able to do it in the elements, that's a completely different story. And, it goes back to what we always talk about, that, you learn how to teach in a classroom, you have professional developments in a quiet room, but when you come into your room, it's chaotic. There are the elements. It literally can be a hurricane. So we need to know how to deal with these things in the real world. It's not just in a laboratory. Go through a couple of more and then we'll stop for now. Of course, we'll post up this video for people to watch later. And please comment, like, share. Let's get a healthy discussion going on here, because the truth of the matter is that there aren't answers to every situation, and to many situations there are several answers, and you have to know which answer works for you. It reminds me of, get off on a tangent sometimes, it reminds me of when I get calls for clients and they ask me what method of therapy I like to use. Everybody knows the therapy methods that they know, CBT, DBT, strengths perspectives, so on and so forth. And what I tell people is that I try to first understand who the child is and what their strengths are and what method would work well for them. Sometimes you have two people that seem to have the same problem, but they're different problems. Sometimes you have people that have the actual same problem, but their strengths are different, so they need a different solution. So when we talk about challenges that we have in the classroom, some solutions are going to work for some people, others are going to work for other people. The key is to have the discussion, and most importantly, to have the support. Know that we're in a teachers group here of about 25,000 teachers, which is fantastic. Imagine, a support group of 25,000 people who are all here to support each other. Let's utilize this. Let's take full advantage of this. If there are any questions, post it, put it out there. Ask me, ask anybody. We're all here to help. We're all here to support each other. So, time management, very, very challenging. Try attending to everyone. How do you attend to every single student? Class sizes are out of control, but the truth of the matter is that it's not even about class sizes. You can have a class of 10 people, and it could be hard to attend to everybody. It could be very, very challenging. You can have a class of 20 people, and obviously that could be more challenging, it could be less challenging. It's not the number of students, but really the number of, I wouldn't put it only on this, but it's the number of issues that you need to deal with. It's the number of things that you need to react to. If you can, if you're trying to have a meeting and your phone keeps ringing every 2 seconds, it's going to disrupt you from your meeting, even though you have one meeting and you have one phone. But the phone, and especially our phones today, when we have iPhones and all the other kinds of Android phones and whatever, it's the phone is so many tools in one. I get buzzed for emails, for phone calls, for text messages. I turn off all my other alerts. I don't get any other alerts on my phone. Everything else can wait. But text messages, emails, and phone calls, those things I get. It's one phone, but it's 4 different notifications, 5 different notifications. If you're on 5 different social media platforms, that's another 5 notifications that you might get. So it's not even necessarily the number of students that you have in your classroom, but the number of issues that they have. And again, really, really hard to deal with. Getting buy-in from the kiddos. That was from Allison Wood Robinson. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard, especially, in certain schools and certain communities where the kids are coming in automatically with a bias against us, whether it's a poor support at home or trouble, for a whole host of reasons that, we all know about, whether it's from low-income families or broken families. There's no shortage of kids that come and are skeptical of us. They don't trust us. And we got to get their buy-in, because again, it's all about the relationship. If you can show the kid that you care about them, they'll trust you and you'll get pretty far with them. When we think about our own teachers that made an impact on our life, who are the ones that we think of? It's the ones that we trusted. It's the ones that we felt cared, not the one that had necessarily the cute song or the great way of teaching, biology or whatever it might be. Differentiation is something that's challenging. That's something that a lot of people brought up. Differentiation is again, so many different things coming at us. Thanks for the like. I don't see who's liking this. Again, I'm pretty new to Facebook. I only got into Facebook really to do this. I've been in social work for about a dozen years, and I really wanted to reach out further than just the immediate community that I can reach in my practice and in the schools of my town. So I'm on this. So keep the likes coming. Let's keep it going. And obviously, as we go, it'll get better and better. Thanks to your input as well. The last feedback that I got here was from Raju Dixit, who said that his challenge of balancing is between curiosity and syllabus. And that's an interesting one, kind of makes you curious. There is a certain amount of, education that just needs to be taught. They need to develop certain skills that they're going to need for the rest of their life. But curiosity is also a very, very important skill, and you need to know how to manage the curiosity too. How do you teach curiosity? You have to be curious, you have to get excited, you need to get emotional about the curiosity, and that will always come at the expense of the syllabus because you kind of wander off there. I remember when I read the biography on Steve Jobs, as soon as it came out, I bought it right away, big fan of Steve Jobs, and one of the things that the author writes about Walter Isaacson in the chapter on Pixar Studios is that at Pixar there was and many companies have this too, like a division between like the technical people and the creative people, because the technical people are very concrete. They have certain expectations, things need to get done. The creative people are more abstract. They're creative. They try to stick to deadlines, but you can't always guarantee it. It gets complicated. And what the people at Pixar appreciated when Steve Jobs first took over there was that he had a very healthy respect for both of them, and he knew how to manage the balance between them. So it takes a Steve Jobs kind of guy to really manage the balance between curiosity and curriculum, between that, abstract kind of very, very weak boundaries, very vague boundaries, and, the concrete goals that need to be had. So thanks so much for spending time with me. Please comment below. Please share this with your friends. Let's get a robust, productive conversation going here. We have an opportunity here to, number one, utilize this group to support each other. And we can definitely do that. It's just the time that you put into it, and it will be a worthwhile investment. We all know that the time that you put into something, that's what you get out of it. And on top of that, we have a group of kids that we have an opportunity to impact for the rest of their life. We have an opportunity to really shape the future of the world. Let's take advantage of it. Thanks so much for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.